here's Brody Brazil.
So I got to tell you, one thing that I actually look forward to every single hockey season is this, the player poll that's done by the NHLPA, the Players Association. This is the 2022-23 edition, but I love how they do this annually. They compile a list of responses by, in this case, more than 600 current NHL players, and they ask all of the, well, not difficult, but insightful questions that give us very cool responses to look at and digest and consider and really respect and appreciate. Because I'll be honest, these questions are things that are asked and talked about amongst fans and media. But when you hear players talking about other players in this regard, I just think this is so cool. For example, these more than 640 NHL players were asked if you needed to win one game, who is the goalie you would want on your team? And oh my goodness, I mean, the credit given to Andrei Vasilevskiy here, 52.3%. That is a runaway from Shesterkin, who's the next closest, Marc-Andre Fleury, Connor Hellebuck, and Ilya Sorokin there at 3.2%. I mean, all of those guys are happy to probably be in this conversation, but Vasilevskiy at 52%. And think about 600 players from across the league being asked this question. You will see some of these responses where all of the percentages are low, or all of them are really high because it's narrowed down to 2 or 3 players for just one category. But oh my goodness, this is an absolute landslide for Vasilevskiy. So that's who players would want to have on their team right now in the blue paint. I think that tells an interesting story. And, you know, Vasilevskiy's name, yeah, it's definitely up there. Will he win the Vezina? Let's see how that matches up with this. In a must-win game, which forward do you think would be the most impactful? Well, yeah, Connor McDavid is, at 195 points now this season? I'm kidding, but he's not that far away from it. Crossed triple digits a long time ago, is probably, by the time you're watching this, right on the cusp of 140 or passing that. 59.3%. And how about that? The next closest is Sidney at 11%. McKinnon at 8.4%. And then you get down into the, small percentages with Kucherov, Bergeron, and Austin Matthews. But what is the most impactful forward in a must-win game? 59.3% went with Connor McDavid. Again, of a large scale of respondents here, at about 640 plus NHL players. Is it a sign of the times? No Ovechkin on there, and granted, I know maybe his career sits in a different spot now, but to see Sidney up there and Connor side by side, I got to tell you, that is pretty cool. But Connor right now is the man in that category. Who is the top defenseman in the game? Cale Makar. Again, another landslide. Have you noticed this? There's a lot of clear-cut answers here. Cale Makar at almost 64%. Hedman not far behind. So think about, Tampa with that defense between Vasilevskiy and Nets and Hedman on the blue line. 11.4% for Victor Hedman. Roman Josi at 6%. Hey, San Jose's own Erik Karlsson at 3.3%. Fox at 2%. And Rasmus Dahlin at 2.0%. Almost said, or Dahlin, excuse me. No, I did it to myself. Jonathan Dahlin, Rasmus Dahlin, excuse me. I made my own mistake there. Excuse me. Ulf Dahlin, if you really want to go far back in the Dahlin family, but Rasmus Dahlin. I know a lot of you just cringed when I said that. I always get those two backwards. But look, the Avs have certainly landed the next generation of defensemen in the league and also for their team, and they are so lucky to have literally Cale Makar from the very start. If I'm them and knowing what they did last year, you want to be locking him down for the very long term. But good to see Hedman up there, Roman Josi. I would say maybe some of these players also underrated too, but I think there's a category for that later on, which we'll get to. Who is the best stick handler? How about that? Patrick Kane, and obviously Connor McDavid's going to be up there, but it's a two-horse race, but this one is clearly going to Patrick Kane. I love the fact that they've already got him in the Rangers sweater. They didn't go for an older photo, but 46.1% say that the veteran has still got it. Patrick Kane, all these years in the league. Connor McDavid is racking up a few. He's no spring chicken at this point either, but excuse me. You've got Patrick Kane here, in this top spot. I also think that says a lot about an established forward who may not have all the physical attributes, and speed and strength as maybe he used to. No knock. It's just as you get older, that's what happens. But the best stick handler overall, that's something that doesn't have to fade away. And for Patrick Kane, apparently players in this league think it's not. Okay, who's the best passer? Obviously, if you've got Connor McDavid scoring all the points he is, you need a setup person. That's Leon Draisaitl at 25%. But how about Kane? Not far behind him at 13%. Kucherov in there, the Breadman Panarin, and Connor McDavid. Wait, I guess Draisaitl's got a bunch of points too and goals too, so somebody's got to set him up. So when you have that dynamic duo, and that kind of says a lot too, right? Now look at the percentages here. Draisaitl only at 25%, still basically twice as much as Patrick Kane, but this is not like a 50 or 60%er. So this just goes to show you there were a lot more varied responses here, but a lot of people like Leon Draisaitl at 25%. I would say Karlsson could and should be in there too with all the helpers he's given this year and over his career. But an interesting one to look at, who is the best passer in the NHL? Who is the most complete player? Now, crazy, right? Connor McDavid, he's in there at 11%, but behind Bergeron and Alexander Barkov even. But Sidney Crosby takes the notch at 30.1%. 30%. They may not have said he's got all the skills, but he is the most complete player. What do you define that as? I'm sure a lot of players said, well, what do you mean by complete player? Maybe they know, but to me, obviously a two-way player, somebody who's hard to score on, but also really hard to defend. I guess probably the hardest player to play against in a game situation. Good to see Nathan MacKinnon on this list too. Who's the most complete player? The NHL players say it's Sidney Crosby. Which player do you least enjoy playing against, but would like to have on your team? Now, there's like two categories of players here. Like, there's Connor McDavid and Victor Hedman on the far right of your screen here. But I kind of put Brad Marchand and Tom Wilson and Matthew Tkachuk in a totally different category. Like, really good players, but also really good at getting under your skin type players. Right? There's two sides of the coin here. McDavid and Hedman aren't necessarily going to do it to you and rub it in your face and get you in the penalty box. But the other three, they just might do that. And Brad Marchand at 36.5% takes the cake. Now, I'm also here to tell you, and Curtis, my co-host, will tell you that he loves Tom Wilson. Brad Marchand, for me, the real exception I took was all the face-licking stuff from, 5-6 years ago. Now that that's stopped, and now that I've seen some other things that he's done in the community and in mic'd up segments, I'm a little bit won over by Brad Marchand. I can't lie. As well as being a darn good hockey player the entire time. So, there you go. That's what the league thinks on the inside. The guy that you would least enjoy playing against, but you'd most want to have on your team. What a compliment that is. Oh, I recognize that guy. Who affects the game the most around the net? This could be a forward or a D-man, right? Either side of the ice. Joe Pavelski coming in at 21.4%. Now, this race a little bit closer here with Chris Kreider 7 percentage points behind, but Joe Pavelski, the aging veteran, the established veteran. I love that for Pavs. In the lead at 21.4%. Congratulations, Pav. I know you're not watching this. I wish you would, but 21%. And look, that's not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy, not the strongest guy, no disrespect. He plays so smart and so skillful in front of that net. And the tips and the redirects, the hockey sense where it matters most is tremendous. Tkachuk, Anders Lee, and Connor McDavid also in this conversation here. All right, who is the most underrated player? Alexander Barkov at 23%. And behind him being Thompson, Zibanejad, Aho, Braden Point, and Bratt. I mean, those players are all miles behind Barkov. Everybody, I think, in this league has really realized that maybe it's because he plays for the Panthers, or I don't know why. Players say that he is so tough to go up against. But I don't know that he's in that same Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon category, Cale Makar, of the next wave. And it's weird how he is excluded from that. I mean, look, if you watch enough hockey, you know, and I know you know in this video, but a lot of hockey fans maybe aren't that same way. And maybe the same thing with Aho in Carolina and Thompson in Buffalo. Maybe even Brad in Jersey and Point in Tampa. Maybe these are just, I don't see, Zibanejad in New York, but I don't see a lot of like the Chicagos here or Montreal here or Toronto or Vancouver. So not a lot of the big hockey markets. That's kind of the thing. It's usually a really good player on a really good team in a different type of a market who maybe doesn't get all of the attention or accolades. I like this next one because of the question, but also because the answers were quite varied. Which female hockey player, current or past, would you most want to play alongside? Marie-Philippe Poulin, hopefully I'm saying that right. I know it's a French-Canadian pronunciation, and I'm terrible at that. From Team Canada at 27.9%. By the way, I'm pretty sure she has a very important job with the Habs these days. Also, like working on the side while her playing career continues. But Hillary Knight, 20.5%. Haley Wickenheiser at 14.7%. Amanda Kessel at 7.2%. And our friend Kendall Coyne-Schofield checking in at 4.7%. Congrats, obviously, for being on this list. But more importantly, I believe the Coyne-Schofield family is just getting underway. So congrats, Kendall, to you and your husband on that. So which female hockey player, current or past, would you want to play alongside? And again, I like the diversity in that list right there. It wasn't just one player blowing everybody else away. Nice complementary group there. What NHL arena has the best ice? Interesting how geography plays a part here. Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg, St. Paul, all of those, close to the border, if not well above it. But how about T-Mobile Arena finding its way in there? Las Vegas at 6%. Maybe it's the lack of humidity, the dryness of the desert makes good ice. If you get it cold enough, that's the thing. You can't really take all the humidity out of the air. You can try, but that's the thing you guard and fight against is humidity. So maybe it's a dry desert thing, although why wouldn't Arizona have gotten some love for that too? But I digress. T-Mobile Arena is the surprise. No surprise with Bell Center, Rogers Place, Canada Life Center, or the XL Energy Center. So there you go for best playing surface. How about the best NHL road city to have an off day? Oh, Las Vegas by a long shot. And no surprise, well, Sunrise, not surprise. Sunrise, Florida's in there, but no surprise, New York is there, 16.3%. People love LA and Nashville. I don't think those are shockers to anybody, but Las Vegas at 31.7% running away with it. Maybe that's because if you go to Las Vegas, you can visit New York, like the hotel. Never mind. 31.7%. Now, I wonder if that's partly weather conditions, right? In the dead of January to be in Las Vegas, that's not bad. Is it for the complete off-day experience? You can go find some entertainment, unwind, relax, whatever. I don't know. I really don't know specifically why, but I'm not surprised that Las Vegas is right there. Which NHL player is the best guy in the locker room? Now, this is an interesting one because look how low all the percentages are, but how close all of these players are in terms of, the final vote. Marc-Andre Fleury wins at 3.8%. Phil Kessel at 2.7%. Hayes, Voracek, Johansson, and Foligno all in the 2+% range. But you can kind of see how, this one was probably answered in a bunch of different ways. It probably only took, what if we said 620 or 40 voters? Probably only took, I don't do the math, like 20 votes, 10, 15, 20 votes to get a couple percent like this, maybe more than that. But you understand my drift here. It didn't take a lot of votes to get here, but it goes to show you how diverse the voting was among the NHL players this season. But Marc-Andre Fleury and Kessel, long standers in this league, no surprise there. Who has the best shoe game? Now, how would you know? Like, I wouldn't know this. Austin Matthews taking the cake ahead of Pasta at 3.4%. Clayton Keller, OEL, and Pierre-Luc Dubois also in there in the 2% range. But Austin Matthews at 9.1%. Are those Adidas he's wearing? It's also, I guess, the best mustache game too. He's running away with it threefold at 9.1% with the shoe game. So there you go, the 2022-23 NHLPA Player Poll. I'm serious. This is one of the things that every year, I mean, a lot of times it's the same answer year after year, but I get excited to see what people are saying and who they want to pay tribute to. So congrats to the winners, because quite honestly, as much as we in the media could talk about these guys, it really matters most to them when it comes from the inside. Hey, thumbs up on this video if you liked it, and since you stuck around this long, subscribe to the channel, make sure that you are, so that I can see you next time.